Hello guys, my name is Victor Bloodstone. Today I will be telling you guys about 4 true, creepy and disturbing horror stories happened in church. So let's get started. Story 1. The Confessional Whispers. The old church stood on the outskirts of town, its time-worn fallen Section 8 carrying the weight of centuries. As a historian with a penchant for unraveling the mysteries of the past, I found myself drawn to the church's ancient halls. Little did I know that my curiosity would lead me to a harrowing encounter with the spectral echoes of forgotten sins. It was a mist-laden evening when I decided to explore the church, my flashlight cutting through the thick fog that clung to the gravestones. The air was heavy with a sense of solemnity, and the distant sound of wind through the aged trees added an eerie undertone to the atmosphere. As I stepped into the church, a chill ran down my spine. The pews stood in silent rows, the dust of centuries undisturbed on the cold stone floor. The flickering candles in the nave cast long shadows that danced along the stained glass windows, creating an otherworldly ambience. My attention was drawn to the confessional, a small, enclosed booth tucked away in a dimly lit corner. Intrigued, I approached and, with a sense of reverence, opened the creaking door. The confessional's musty interior seemed to hold the whispers of countless confessions. As I sat in the creaky wooden pew on one side of the confessional, I felt a profound stillness settle around me. It was as if the very air held the hushed secrets of the penitents who had sought solace in this sacred space. That's when I heard a soft, muffled sob from the other side of the confessional. My heart skipped a beat, and I strained to listen. The sound was unmistakable. The quiet lament of someone burdened by guilt. "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned," came a trembling voice, barely audible. I sat frozen, realizing that the voice had not come from the living. It was a spectral confession, an echo from the past that reverberated through the walls of the confessional. As I continued to listen, the voice spoke of a terrible deed committed in the shadows of the church. The confessor, a parishioner seeking redemption, described a dark ritual conducted in the dead of night, an act that defied the sanctity of the holy grounds. A shiver ran down my spine as the confessor recounted the details of a malevolent force summoned through forbidden incantations. The presence, once confined to the shadows, had grown stronger, feeding on the fear and despair of those who sought refuge in the church. I felt a weight in the air, a tangible darkness that seemed to envelop me. The confessor's words painted a vivid picture of a malevolent entity that had lurked in the church, its influence seeping into the souls of unsuspecting worshippers. The spectral voice pleaded for absolution, its desperation echoing through the confessional. I, a mere witness to this ethereal confession, felt an inexplicable compulsion to offer solace. "May you find peace," I whispered, unsure if my words could reach beyond the veil of the supernatural. As the last echoes of the spectral confession faded, the church seemed to exhale a heavy sigh. The atmosphere shifted, and the fog outside dispersed, allowing the moonlight to filter through the stained glass windows. I left the church, haunted by the encounter with the ghostly confessor. The spectral confession had unraveled a tale of forbidden rituals and the perversion of sacred spaces. The old church, once a symbol of divine sanctity, now harbored the lingering echoes of a darkness that transcended the boundaries of the living and the dead. Story 2. The Unholy Sermon. In the heart of a quiet town stood St. Agnes Church, a centuries-old structure that exuded an air of sanctity. Little did I know that my visit to this revered place of worship would unravel a tale that transcended the boundaries of the living and the dead. It was a fog-laden evening when I, driven by an insatiable curiosity about local history, entered the church. The creaking door echoed through the nave as I stepped into the dimly lit interior. The air was thick with the scent of incense and the weight of sacred rituals. As I explored the silent corridors, my eyes were drawn to a weathered door partially hidden behind a dusty curtain. Intrigued, I pushed it open, revealing a narrow stairwell that led to the church's underground catacombs. The flickering light of my flashlight revealed rows of ancient tombs and forgotten relics. Descending further, I discovered a hidden chamber, a place untouched by time, its walls adorned with blasphemous symbols and airy paintings. In the center of the chamber stood an old pulpit, and an unsettling stillness hung in the air. As I approached the pulpit, a spectral figure materialized, a disheveled priest with hollow eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness. He began to speak, his voice a distorted echo that resonated with a malevolent energy. The unholy sermon unfolded a litany of forbidden incantations and profane rituals conducted in the shadows of the church. The priest spoke of a secret sect that had sought power beyond the divine, invoking entities that thrived on the despair of the unsuspecting congregation. I listened in horrified fascination as the priest detailed the sacrilegious ceremonies performed beneath the very pews where parishioners sought solace. The echoes of anguished prayers and the haunting cries of the sacrificial echoed through the catacombs. As the spectral priest concluded his unholy sermon, the chamber seemed to vibrate with an otherworldly force. The air grew colder, and I felt a presence watching from the shadows. The ghostly figure slowly dissipated, leaving me alone in the chilling darkness of the catacombs. Haunted by the encounter, I ascended to the church's nave. The fog outside had thickened, obscuring the town in an impenetrable shroud. The once sacred space now felt tainted, as if the sins of the past clung to the very walls. As I left St. Agnes Church, the fog seemed to swallow the structure whole, erasing it from view. The unsettling revelation of the hidden chamber lingered, a reminder that even the holiest places could conceal the echoes of forbidden rites. Story 3, The Phantom Choir. St. Mark's Cathedral, with its towering spires and magnificent stained glass, was the pride of the community. As a musician fascinated by the acoustics of sacred spaces, I found myself drawn to the cathedral's choir loft, eager to explore the hidden corners of this architectural marvel. Little did I anticipate that my musical curiosity would lead me to an encounter with a spectral choir that sang from the shadows of the divine. It was a stormy night when I entered the cathedral, the rain pelting against the stained glass like an ethereal symphony. The vast nave echoed with the haunting drips of water as I ascended the spiral staircase to the choir loft. The air was heavy with the scent of old hymnals and polished wood. As I explored the loft, I noticed a hidden door that seemed to lead to an adjacent chamber. Intrigued, I opened it, revealing a small space filled with old choir robes and dusty music sheets. In the corner stood an ancient organ, its keys worn with the touch of generations. The room seemed to resonate with a strange energy, and I felt an invisible pull toward the organ. As I hesitantly pressed a key, the cathedral's vast space filled with the ghostly echoes of a choir. The ethereal voices harmonized in a chilling melody that seemed to transcend the boundaries of the physical world. Driven by a mix of fear and fascination, I continued to play, and the spectral choir intensified, their voices reaching a crescendo that shook the very foundation of the cathedral. The stained glass windows quivered, casting kaleidoscopic patterns across the nave. Suddenly, the room plunged into darkness. The voices ceased, leaving an eerie stillness in their wake. The air was charged with a lingering energy as I fumbled for my flashlight. In the beam's feeble light, I saw the aim of the phantom choir, their translucent form standing in the shadows of the loft. Their eyes were fixed on me, and an otherworldly sorrow emanated from their ghostly figures. A spectral conductor, draped in tattered robes, raised an ethereal baton. The choir began to sing again, but this time, their voices carried a mournful lament. The lyrics spoke of lost souls seeking redemption, of a choir that had been silenced by tragedy. As the spectral voices filled the cathedral, I felt a profound connection to the unseen performers. The ghostly choir seemed to beckon from beyond the veil, sharing the sorrowful tale of their untimely demise. When the last note faded, the room fell into a sepulchral silence. The phantom choir dissipated, leaving me alone in the darkness of the loft. As I descended the spiral staircase, the storm outside began to subside, and the cathedral regained a semblance of serenity. Haunted by the encounter, I returned to St. Mark's Cathedral in the daylight, half expecting the echoes of the phantom choir to linger. The nave, however, stood silent, the acoustics of the space betraying no hint of the ethereal voices that had once filled its hallowed halls. The encounter with the spectral choir remained etched in my memory, a testament to the mysteries that could unfold in the hidden corners of sacred spaces. St. Mark's Cathedral, once a beacon of divine harmony, had become a haunting reminder that even in the silence of the sacred, the echoes of the supernatural could find a voice. Story 4, The Whispering Confession. In the heart of a quaint village, a centuries-old church stood, its spire piercing the heavens. As an architecture enthusiast, I found myself drawn to its timeless beauty, oblivious to the macabre tale that awaited me within its hallowed walls. It was a stormy night when I decided to explore the church, the rain drumming a ghostly cadence on the ancient stones. The air inside was thick with the scent of aged wood and the solemnity of centuries-old rituals. The flickering candles cast elongated shadows, dancing to the rhythm of the storm outside. As I wandered through the nave, my attention was drawn to the confessor, a small, secluded booth veiled in shadows. A chill ran down my spine as I pushed open the heavy wooden door, revealing a dimly lit space adorned with faded crimson velvet. I sat in the confessional, the worn kneeler beneath me creaking with the weight of time. The atmosphere seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, and a sense of unease settled over me. The whispered prayers of penitence from ages past seemed to linger in the air. As I knelt, an involuntary shiver ran through me. That's when I heard Ida's soft, ghostly whisper, barely audible above the storm. "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned," came a voice, tremulous and laden with guilt. I assumed it was a stray sound, perhaps the wind finding its way through the aged stones, but the voice persisted, recounting a tale of darkness that unfolded within the very confines of the church. The confessor spoke of clandestine gatherings beneath the moonlit arches, where hooded figures engaged in rituals that defied the sanctity of the holy space. The air grew heavier with each whispered word, and the temperature in the confessional plummeted. As the spectral confession unfolded, I realized the voice belonged to a soul from a bygone era, an unfortunate witness to unholy ceremonies that stained the sacred ground. The confessor spoke of a malevolent force summoned through forbidden incantations, its presence lingering in the shadows long after the wicked rituals had ceased. The atmosphere inside the confessional became charged with an oppressive energy. I could feel the weight of the confessor's sins pressing upon me. I wanted to flee, to escape the unearthly presence, but an unseen force kept me rooted in place. The confessor's voice grew desperate, pleading for redemption and release from the eternal torment that bound them to the spectral realm. The whispered confession echoed through the church, intertwining with the distant thunder outside. As the last words hung in the air, the oppressive atmosphere lifted. The confessional fell into a heavy silence, and the spectral presence dissipated. I stumbled out, disoriented and shaken by the encounter. The storm had abated when I stepped outside, but the air was thick with an otherworldly quiet. The village slept, oblivious to the eerie tale that had unfolded within the church's ancient walls. To this day, the memory of that whispered confession haunts me. The church, once a symbol of divine serenity, had become a vessel for the unsettling echoes of sins committed in the shadows. The confessional, meant for repentance, had served as a conduit for a ghostly voice seeking absolution from the depths of the supernatural. If you liked the stories, then consider liking the video and subscribing my channel, as it would motivate me to make more videos for you guys, and thank you for watching this video.